Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the W.E.Pods podcast. My name is Amanda, and as always, I'm joined by the one and only Dr. Art. Good morning, Dr. Art.
Good morning, Amy.
Do you have your chai ready for our conversation?
It's ready.
Wonderful. This week, everybody, we're gonna solve a mystery together. We have our clues laid out. I'm just kidding. I'm not much of a detective myself, but uh, although my husband would probably disagree. I'm probably kind of a good detective, although my cat is the best detective in our house. This week we're not talking about her though. We are going to talk about probably the greatest detective in the world, and I'm not talking about Batman. Sorry, DC. I'm actually talking about Sherlock Holmes. Uh, are you a fan of Sherlock Holmes, Dr. Art?
Definitely. Since childhood.
Uh, definitely a familiar name. I literally went and looked up the history. So Arthur Conan Doyle creates this character in, what does it say in my notes? 1886, I believe.
1880, yeah.
Yeah, 1886. And did you know that apparently he wanted to get rid of the character, but it was so popular that he
He
couldn't.
couldn't. Yeah.
So,
So
oh
as a
man, I
kid,
had the,
I used to think
yeah.
he is a real person as a kid. And when I know that, when I got to know that he was just a character and he was not a real person, I was so disappointed.
You're like, no. I think I felt that way about so many like characters growing up, but yeah, he feels so real, right? Like
Like,
okay, so
we don't know Sir Arthur
1890s.
Conan Doyle, but we know
Yeah.
Sherlock so much in detail. It's like, uh,
Yeah.
that's called a genius work.
100%. 100%. It's kind of like we don't know Agatha Christie necessarily, but we know Hercule Poirot. Like
Yes.
everybody knows Hercule Poirot, and not just because Kenneth Branagh did an amazing trilogy, because those novels and plays have existed for long time. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's a great place to start. Is he feels so real, and so the history is that he was created in like the 1890s, and by 1893, Arthur Conan Doyle was ready to move on, but the world was like, no, we love this
No.
character, and then
Mm.
he gets adapted into television and movies. I looked up like some of the most famous Sherlocks and like a list. How many actors do you think you can name who've played Sherlock
I have
Holmes? Can you
seen
name
many
some?
movies like from 39, the Hound of Baskerville, the 59, but
Yeah.
I'm not good with names, so I will give you only two, which are my favorite.
Okay.
One is Benedict Cumberbatch. He's Sherlock for me till the day I
Yes.
die. Like, he has put
Yes.
an impression in my head. And
Yes.
Robert Downey Jr. Then even the show Elementary I have watched, but I am
Okay.
not good with the name, so I forgot the name of the
Elementary.
Sherlock.
Let me see if I have
Uh,
it in my notes. You were referencing Hound of Baskerville too, which has been
yeah,
made so many times, like in the
so many
30s and the
times.
50s. The most famous one is Peter Cushing, though. That's probably the one you're
Okay.
thinking of from 1959.
And the one
But
I have recently
yeah,
Shivam shared with me was the Murder with Decree. I saw that one also, but I forgot
yes,
the name. I'm so sorry.
Christopher
Peter,
Plummer,
some
and
Christopher. Yeah, Christopher.
yeah, and there's kind of a bit of the West East connection specifically for us because he is a gem of Canada, or was, I think. I think he's passed away. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
his work is
I
still alive, so we can say
yeah,
he's a gem of Canada.
100%, 100%. He's a gem, and in like theater school days, the teachers would always have like a Christopher Plummer story. So his name was imprinted in our minds, and then I've gone on
So
to
I knew
see a
his
few of
name,
his works that
but
were really
this
good.
was the first movie where I could see his, like, I could relate
Name
to
to
him that
face.
he's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. I really liked his take on Sherlock Holmes. He was one of the kindest. Like, let me see how they noted him in my notes of what, because the notes were really good that I collected. That a more human and sympathetic Holmes in Murder by Decree, and him
Yeah.
and sorry, Elementary was Johnny Lee Miller. That's who you were thinking of from
Yes.
the show. I
Yes.
just
Yes.
found it. But so uh, uh, Christopher Plummer and John Neville both played Sherlock Holmes in different movies. John Neville plays Sherlock Holmes a few times, like in television series and in movies, but they
Hmm.
both played in stories that talked about Jack the Ripper. It
Yeah, that
wasn't like a,
was based on that. Yeah, it
yeah,
was a
so like Hound
comparison
of
between.
yeah, the murders and like what I find interesting is a Hound of Baskervilles is a very famous Sherlock Holmes story that gets done a number
Yeah,
of times. Benedict
and
Cumberbatch did it
everybody
as well
has
in the
their own
show.
interpretation about the story.
Yeah. Yes, and it kind of like brings in a lot of different elements, like of horror and mystery and myths, and it's which I think is why it's such a popular story that keeps being recreated. But I thought
Repeating,
that it was
yeah.
interesting that they talked about Jack the Ripper in another like Sherlock Holmes story that's duplicated in like a couple of
Yes.
movies, because that's just a real murder, right, or a real series of murders. I guess it I don't know. Conspiracy theories will probably clock me on that, but because they never
We are
caught him.
fans, so we are
uh,
going to go wild about it thinking, don't worry.
exactly. Yes, it was a real story. At least we could say, like, it was a story that was talked about outside of the world of fiction. That's what I
Yeah.
can say. So, but let me give you some other names. Did you know that Ian McKellen also played Sherlock Holmes in Mr. Holmes?
Oh
Johnny
yeah, yeah,
Depp.
yeah. I saw that one 2015 movie where has a dementia, and I have
And he's
seen that movie.
older. Yeah, 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 exactly. He got a chance to
For
do it.
me, he's
Even
Magneto, so it
yes,
doesn't fit anywhere else, I think.
yeah, that's it. Okay, so that's three people that have played like in superhero movies and also Sherlock Holmes. Robert
Yeah.
Downey Jr.,
And
Benedict
I think
Cumberbatch, and Ian McKellen.
Sherlock Holmes is no less than superhero, we can say.
100%. There's another superhero that I can add in Enola Holmes. Henry Cavill
Yeah.
plays an
He
athletic
is a
Holmes, is how they
Superman,
described
yeah.
him. Yeah, and he was
He
Superman.
but
So
he is a Sherlock Holmes, yeah. But in that Enola
yes,
Holmes is also a different trajectory. Like literally, people have made a Sherlock story. Like other than Sir Conan Doyle, so many people have input their imagination, and so many spin-offs have been made.
so true, so true. And that's kind of a good
And
bridge. I'll give a couple other names before we move on, but there's a few characters that we could like are in other stories that aren't Sherlock Holmes, but you can see the same like kind of tropes and traits of Sherlock,
can I
right?
name one? Can I
Um,
name one?
before you do, let me give you the rest of the actors so that because there's two other actors that I've been dying to name. So Will Ferrell is in a parody of Holmes called Holmes and Watson,
Yes.
and
Yes.
Johnny Depp is actually in a parody version called Sherlock Gnomes,
Yeah.
which I haven't seen, but now I have to go see it. Uh,
Like I had know
uh,
about it, but I have not seen it.
yeah. So I same, but I just thought it was cool the range of actors, right? And over time. Okay, I'll go back to the connection. So when we think about so Sherlock Holmes, obviously 1800s would inspire naturally like art comments on each other. Art just doesn't imitate life, and life doesn't just imitate art. Art imitates art. Calling back a previous episode. So give me a character that or a story that you would say is emblematic of the traits of Sherlock Holmes, and maybe we can start to define the traits and get into a bit of like his psychology and character description in case anyone is new to this and hasn't
No
seen
one
any
is new
Sherlock
to
Holmes
this.
yet. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, so go ahead. Go ahead. What's the first
So
one that
when I was
you think
doing
of?
my MBBS, that time I was crazy about one show that was called House MD, and he is also
Yep.
my favorite actor, like
Uh,
Hugh Laurie.
and he even
I
has
hope I'm.
Wilson, who is kind of like his Watson. You know what I mean?
And
uh,
their name is initials were like JW,
yeah, that's right. Which is like instead of like John Watson, is it John Wilson or what was his first name? They
something.
just call him Wilson.
I Yeah, I told you I'm not good with names, so
That's
I might forget.
okay. But you knew
Then
the
he
initials.
like he has
Yeah.
so many. He's like, for him it was a Sherlock. It was a murder mysteries, and the cases for him it was like he was trying to find a diagnosis, and patients were the mysteries. Like
Yep.
so many. I feel that character was written solely based on the embodiment of Sherlock.
Well, certainly, like if you think about one of the things that Sherlock is known for in almost every iteration, is his like is it deductive reasoning and his
Yeah.
observation. Like he's very good at analyzing small details, and so he
Hmm.
can piece together a story, and he can piece together like a character sketch, let's say, of a person, um, before they even say something, or with very
Yeah.
little information. And that's the connection I see with House, not just the personality traits, but House will have very little to go on, and he's not always right. His first prediction isn't always right, and same with Sherlock. But um he's able to peel back the layers and use every single piece of information to solve what is an impossible puzzle to most other people.
Yeah.
And that's like the big connection, right? The personality traits that are similar is like the Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock Holmes is, I think, the best example of the similarities between him and House.
Yeah.
Sort of like brooding, like keeps to himself, is like not the best in
He
social
plays piano.
situations.
He plays piano. He
Yes,
plays
yeah,
violin.
which is a sign of like a brilliant mind. Not saying that
Yeah.
every piano player is automatically brilliant, but uh, to be able to play an
Music is,
instrument and to
yeah,
understand
yeah,
music at that
yeah,
level, yeah,
yeah.
would come with some higher intelligence, because you actually have to use your whole brain to play an instrument. You have to keep, like, left brain
Yes,
is like keeping the timing and the mechanics of it, and the right brain is the creativity and adding the nuance. Very
definitely.
good. Uh, I already mentioned the second one I was going to talk about, which is Hercule Poirot. I think that there's a lot of uh, like comparisons. Again, they're both really good at analysis and analyzing the drop of a hat and with little information. Hercule Poirot is also like he's like a bit of an oddball. He's very particular, very precise with everything that he like wants for himself, and the way that he moves in the world, and very similar to Sherlock. Do you see the connection as well between those two, or do you see any other traits? Uh,
I think you have mentioned everything.
okay. Uh, um, what about, have you seen X Files? I can't remember.
I have seen, but I have not seen it all because I had never got the part of
Yes.
like the series or
So,
anything.
do you remember
I
David
tried
Duchovny's
my
character
best to,
Fox?
yes, I
Yeah, so
tried
it's
my
not
best to
accessible in
find it,
India.
but I couldn't.
Yeah. Okay. Who do we speak to? Is it Geo? Is it Sony Live? Is it is it Z5? Is it MX Player? Let's get X Files in India. It's a great show. But David Duchovny's character, the lead male detective Fox Mulder,
Yeah,
is also
yeah. Mulder
similar,
and
somewhat
Scully.
similar to Sherlock. Yeah. Scully is kind of like Watson. She
Yeah.
is, I think she's also like a PhD, so that would make the doctorate the doctor.
Mm.
And she, that sort of like odd couple pairing is like very similar to Sherlock and Watson. And they are sort of the outcasts of the FBI, but they take on some of the most impossible cases to solve, and they have to do so in creative ways. And so there's a little bit of a Sherlock element there. Doctor Who, I haven't seen too much of Doctor Who, but I
Yeah, I
think
have seen few episodes.
so. So like from what you remember, how do you remember the Doctor Who character? Because I had it on the list, but I was like, I don't know if I've really fully thought this
So
out. That
something
it's just kind
about
of,
him is
yeah,
like eccentricity, like he's little bit of can shows
yeah,
like a mad personality, like people are scared of him, something like that. So if you
yeah,
see Benedict Cumberbatch when he's listing the guest of John Watson's marriage in this one, the BBC Sherlock, he says, that is like my whole time favorite line, that I am a high function, I am not a psychopath, I am highly functioning sociopath with your number, and he smiles. That is
yeah.
my favorite line.
Oh man,
That was
yeah.
so
So there you go.
creepy.
That's a good connection. And I think like we talked about Hound of Baskervilles, which is kind of like it doesn't bring in a purely sci-fi element, but it brings in like the fantastical and
Yeah,
like uh, the supernatural. And Doctor Who is a
definitely.
sci-fi, but it so kind of has those elements in there. Very good, very good. Okay, other ones that I had were Columbo. Columbo is like an older detective show, and
I have not seen.
so the thing about Columbo was he was very good at, like, he'd always have this big dramatic end scene where he would walk the suspect through all of these facts, and it would seem like he'd been duped, and he'd turn away, and then he would turn back and say, and just one more thing, and that's when like the whole case would unfurl and he would catch his guy. And so that's kind of how like it relates to Sherlock for me. But there's
Hmm.
actually comparisons online if anyone's interested, and if somebody like sees something I don't and wants to call it out in the comments, do so. But Columbo kind of reminds me of Sherlock in the way that he solves his cases, but he's a lot more relatable as like a personality, and quite famous from the time that the show was on. Murder She Wrote is another one. Angela Lansbury, and it's pretty much just like a straight detective show, and it's kind of a little bit more ridiculous than
I
Sherlock, if
think
that's possible. But
Sherlock is an inspiration of each detective. I would say, he's
a
like
hundred
a.
percent, yeah, 100%, and that leads to the other two, which is like True Detective, especially the first season, and I even wrote down CID. If you think about the way that they solve the cases, like, so the reason why I listed all of these is because you can start to see a pattern, right? That a lot of the
Yeah,
shows
yeah.
follow the same.
Even the archaeological kind of movie, like if you see recently, I have seen that
Yep,
rewatch Librarian. He also is a
yep,
kind of he deducts and he says where it has been, and he has been also called Sherlock in the movie.
yep. So maybe we can unpack some of the personality traits, because I like that you just brought up the librarian. We've started to talk about that there's a formula. How would you describe Sherlock? Or how? Uh, I like that we kind of did this with Hokum, and we talked about like the psychology of the movie. We may or may not be talking about another famous horror movie very, very
Hmm.
soon, and be breaking down similar things. And I thought that we could try to do the same thing with Sherlock. Now that we've given people so much homework and so many references,
We'll
we
put
can get
some. I
into
think
a
we'll
couple of the
put the
stories
books
too.
names also, because Sherlock books are also very interesting. Like before we go to that, I would like to share a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
story if you don't
Yeah.
mind.
Oh, yes,
So
yes. Yeah, I
as a
was gonna say,
kid, I
what's the
was I
your
told
history
you,
with
as a
Sherlock?
kid, I was
Mhm.
fascinated about the Sherlock. So I told, like earlier, it used to be like, I used to get a pocket money, and from that I used to buy books and everything to read. So
Okay.
once I don't remember why we went to Ahmedabad, but we went to Ahmedabad, and I was like, Dad, I want to buy a book if
Okay.
we can find. And my dad, one thing I admire about my dad is, like, be it a movie, if I want to see, he'll take me to another city, and if it is playing
Yep.
there, he'll take me to the movie. Or if I say that I want to read the book, he'll try his best to find the book, and like give us that thing. So we went to bookstores in Ahmedabad. We searched one or two, and at end I found a book of Sherlock Holmes, and I was so happy about it. I still have that book, and like it was
Oh.
this thick, and I was like, I'm going to read it, and I am going to do everything. And that was like I found the treasure of some crazy ship which will make me a millionaire.
Well, do you remember like any of the stories in particular, or like do you have a
Like
favorite?
the most common one is, if you remember, Study in Scarlet. The first one he wrote was the first chapter in that,
Ah, okay.
and then I think it was from the Study in Scarlet to the last bow. It has a whole collection of homes. Like it was in two volumes, so
Hmm.
it was. I got that one. Maybe when
Oh,
you'll come
that's
to India,
wonderful.
I can show
Yeah.
you.
Uh, yes, 100%. You know me and books. We've traded a few books when we visit, and actually, Dr. Art took me to a bookstore in Rajkot, where I picked up a copy of The Corporate Birbal, which is a very wonderful fictitious story that mixes a business owner's journey through starting a company with Akbar Birbal stories and pearls of wisdom, which I guess Akbar Birbal. I don't know if
Like
that's
we
that's
can
not a
say
true
Birbal is
Sherlock
also
comparison, but
kind of Sherlock. We can say like that,
yes, Yeah. So I guess then we'd have to call Sherlock truly brilliant because Beerbo is
Yeah.
truly brilliant, like
Oh my God,
wise
he's
and yeah, uh, like ahead of his time, I guess is the cliche you could use. But um, what do you think makes him so brilliant? Like what is it about? We're talking about him like he is a real person. I think I'm gonna go on this fantasy with you and just
Birbal
propose
was a
that
real
maybe he is
person, but
real.
Sherlock is
Yeah.
not.
Oh, Sherlock. I mean, Beerbo was real. I'm saying Sherlock. We're proceeding as if Sherlock was real. But yeah, what makes Sherlock so brilliant?
So, what I could read about him, and that is when Arthur Conan Doyle was writing about him, he used to convey, like, we see but we don't observe the obvious facts which are laid in front of us, but we are so busy in our own thing that we don't see the, and we assume, we judge, we assume. But Sherlock observes, he sees the facts and the logic in everything. Like,
Hmm.
if enough evidence is gathered, no mystery is mystery.
Yeah. Uh,
And if you
I like
see,
that.
like, if you want to speak about psychologically, then I would say he was a brilliant. He could use his mind like a tool, which we should all should. He had emotional, like, control over his emotions. He was,
Yeah.
the one thing I would say is, because he used to be so much logic driven, the emotional part of him was not developed. But in BBC Sherlock, I like that John Watson brings so much, human touch for him. Like, he becomes
Yeah.
connected towards him. He cares about him. He cares about uh, the I'm not able to name the person, the
The love
homeowner of
interest.
hers.
Oh. Oh.
Uh,
Mrs. Oh my gosh, I can't remember her name either. I can
oh,
picture her.
that
The
is,
lady that rents
yeah,
them the
yes.
home. Um,
So I love
I'm gonna
that
look it up.
lady, and her name is
It's okay. We'll look it up.
we'll come back.
If
We'll come
people,
back. I think I'm
yeah,
getting the block in my head, so that's okay. I'm so sorry.
people know that I no, that's okay. People know that we keep our notes, so I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie, folks. I'm googling it right now. Mrs. Hudson, that's her name.
Mrs.
Um,
Hudson. Yeah, Mrs. Hudson. I was so
uh,
badly, like, I love
yeah,
her, and I know not. So,
I was picturing her. She has like such a soft spot
yeah.
for
So
Sherlock
my
too in
God.
so many of the stories, and even though he's like not the greatest tenant, there's
No,
like
for
property
Sherlock,
damage in a
she
lot of
was the
them,
greatest one. She used to
and
be,
yeah,
I'm not your something help or something, she says, and
yeah.
always she
I'm
ends
not
up
your hired
helping
help.
him.
Yeah. It's like kind of like a reluctantly almost takes like a mothering role. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But
yeah,
yeah, like I think he has a good command of his emotions.
yes,
Another thing that I love about Sherlock too is he is just so hyper focused on finding a solution
yes,
that like
yes,
he doesn't get caught up in like petty conflicts until he does, which is a story for another day. But like I think
yeah.
about like there's a scene in the Christopher right there. There's a scene in the Christopher Plummer
I
movie
think his
where
only petty fights were with his brother, I think.
yeah, with his brother and like whoever, like the arch nemesis, right, Moriarty. But
Yeah.
what I was gonna say is there's a scene in the Christopher Plummer movie where him and Watson are leaving a function, or not a
Hmm.
function. They went to investigate at like the pub where all of the ladies of the night were working,
Hmm.
and they dressed up as like rich gentlemen so that they could try to drum up some,
Yeah, blend
you know what I
in.
mean, some people talk, yeah. So they, as they're leaving, they're walking and talking and just casually Christopher Plummer, like his Sherlock, tells Watson like there's somebody moving in the shadows, be careful. And then there's like this big fight scene where they fight off three men, and it's like, you know, quite dangerous. They almost get really injured, and at the end of it Christopher Plummer is like laughing, and him and Watson are joking, and it doesn't like deter him. So I think that it's like a good example of how Sherlock just kind of stays focused. I hope I'm not confusing it. That might actually be the other one That might, I think, sorry, you know what? That wasn't the Christopher Plummer one. That was the John
That's what I
Neville
was trying to
movie.
think that, but
Yeah,
maybe
no,
I
no,
thought
it
I
wasn't.
forgot the movie.
It was the other one. In the Christopher Plummer one, Watson gets lured into like a back
Back
alley
alley, and
by
he
by
fights,
yeah,
and
and
he
he
ends up
fights
in trouble,
somebody.
and yeah.
Yes, but they never lose their cool. Sherlock and Watson never lose their cool, and I think that that's a good. Uh, this is a good pivot to be on theme for our season. It's like they're so in command of their emotions and themselves that they understand how to keep moving forward, right? And and not be shaken by
Yeah.
other people and whatever they're trying to bring them. They're well prepared for situations. They're tough. They have like skills. Like I think, was Watson in the military? I think Watson
Watson was in
served
a
in a lot of the
military. Yeah.
stories. Yeah, so he actually has combat experience that would also come with trauma, right? But that doesn't, it kind of like they give us insight into his character in certain iterations of it, and I think he's even in therapy in a lot of like the more modern ones, but it doesn't
Oh,
impact his ability to, you know what I mean, solve the case and work with Sherlock. So I guess just like a more, that's like a really relatable side of them, that I really like. And uh, uh, but I don't know what else. What else can we say about Sherlock Holmes? This was a fast and furious conversation, but we actually talked about almost all of the things that we theorized in our notes.
one
Um,
thing I wanted to ask you, did you know that he was very, his look was very famous with the pipe and the hat? But
I
actually,
was
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was
Yeah.
never, he has never described him with the
Oh,
hat and the. It was
so it
one
came with television.
Australian writer, I think Sydney Plumber or something,
Yeah.
who actually, drew him in a magazine or a newspaper so many times that that look had become attached with Sherlock.
This is reminding me of like the Coca-Cola Santa Claus phenomenon. I don't know if you know this, but like the way that like we see Santa Claus with like the beard
Santa
and the,
is,
it
yeah.
actually came from Coca-Cola. They didn't invent Santa Claus. I mean, if you're watching this and you're not in the know, Santa Claus is totally real, you know, just like Sherlock is. Um, but that's really cool that it wasn't Arthur Conan Doyle. I actually was gonna try to look for a hat and like a little pipe and say like elementary, my dear Dr. Art. But I thought it was too hokey, and I don't have the hat or the pipe for the episode. But I think that that's really cool. So that image that's in our mind wasn't even the original. It's like a copy of him. You know what I mean? Or like someone else like
Yeah.
adding
So
on. That
it's
was their
like
love letter.
everybody, it's like everybody has his own version of Sherlock, you know?
Yes, 100%. And based on the list of actors that we showed, or that we named at the beginning, you can, if you go and watch all of their movies or television shows, you can see slightly different, like what is maintained throughout are the traits that we talked about,
Yeah,
the incredible analytical skills, the command of like his emotions and his ability to, you know what I mean, like have that insight, to remain calm in every situation. Even we didn't talk about this, but Sherlock also loves to be in disguise. Like he'll dress up in like different disguises throughout like the
yeah,
movies that he's in, and it's usually to trick Watson, which I also find very funny. Um, but it's like this total inhibition, and commitment to solving the mystery, like at whatever cost, you know what I mean, or what, like using whatever it takes, that carries. But they add their own personality traits in every iteration, and I think that that's what
definitely.
makes, right, that's what makes him such a wonderful character, is that he has that universal appeal, and that's why you
Yeah.
also see his
And I
traits
think
in all of
in
the
the end,
shows.
we all want to
Yeah,
be like him, you know? Like we want to
yeah,
be
yeah,
smart, we want to be if we're in a room full of people, you want to be the one who solves everything,
yeah.
like to be appreciated or to be validated maybe somewhere. And
Yeah.
I would say, if Sherlock is mind, then Watson is a heart, and they are
Very good.
like perfect pair, you cannot
Yeah,
break them.
that's very good. I think I think you've solved this case. We've cracked the case. This is a good segue maybe into a final word. What would be your final word about Sherlock Holmes? Anything we've talked about? Anything we haven't talked about? What do you want to leave our audience with
Uh,
for this
I
episode,
think
Doctor?
we can make 4 5 episodes if we keep on talking about it. But
You can read
I
a
would
story
say
for each episode, and we'll analyze it. Yeah.
I would say
But yeah,
keep reading, keep watching Sherlock. You can learn a lot about yourself and him, and definitely a game is foot.
yes, the game is afoot, 100%. I love that. I love that.
And
And
I am not ashamed to say I am Sherlock.
yeah, I was gonna say, if you ever watch a movie with Dr. Art, folks, within the first like 15 minutes, she could tell you what's gonna happen in the movie, and I would say to almost 100% accuracy. Like maybe like one small thing is off here and there, but then it ends up being what you said at the end. So like, you are Sherlock. Does that make me Watson? Yes. uh, I think that makes me Watson. I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I like that. I don't have anything to add for a final word. I think that you said it perfectly. And I would love to know, if you're watching this episode, if you share our love for Sherlock Holmes, if you have a favorite Sherlock Holmes iteration or actor who's played the character, a favorite story, let us know in the comments. And we will be back next week with another episode. But for now, we'll say goodbye. Say goodbye, Dr. Hart. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
4 for my city. No, I'm the one who'd go to war for my city. 5 for my city. 6 is my city. Holla at me if y'all vibe with my city. Come try on my city. Don't you lie in my city. Symbol of truth. I'll fight for my city.
The West East podcast is part of the We campaign, also known as Anti-East Indian Hate Campaign by Viragya Entertainment. You can weigh in on the conversation in the meantime in our comments section or on our social media. You can also visit www.imshavam.net/w.e. Remember, Vasudev Kutumbakam. We are all one family. Until next time.